Softly and tenderly, Jesus is calling, calling for you and for me. Jesus is calling. See on the portals, he's watching and waiting, watching for you and for me. They call him. This is Jesus called him. Come home, come home, come home. You who are weary, come home. That's a good one there. Earnestly, tenderly, Jesus is calling, calling, oh sinner, come home. Oh man, this is a great one here, man. Why should we linger when Jesus is pleading, pleading for you and for me? Why should we wait then and heed not his mercy, mercy for you and for me? Come home, come home, come home. You who are weary, come home. Bless God, bless God, bless God. Hold up, y'all. I got another one, Bridget to the Lee. Oh, for the wonderful love he has promised. Promised for you and for me. Though we have sinned, he has mercy and pardon. Pardon for you and for me. Come home, come home, come home. You are weary, come home. Yeah. Earnestly, tenderly, Jesus is calling, calling, oh sinner, come home. Will L. Thompson. That's a good one there. That's a good one. That's a good one. Hey, Winston Hodges, why was you calling me, man? Shouldn't you be on the show? That was Winston calling me on the phone. Calling, oh Winston, come home. Hey, y'all, the book of Job is going to be a funny one. It's exciting. This is where you're going to see some comedy, some action, some thriller, and some horror, and all this stuff wrapped up in the book of Job. It's a nice one, y'all. It's a nice one. If I could just get this tile blended in with all the green, I might be a see-through man today. Bear with it. I'll be back. Bass.
It's the show that will get you thinking, and where the topics are hot. Feel free to comment whether we agree or not, 'cause he's got something to say. Sirwalterj Jones. Sirwalterj Jones. He's got something to say. Sirwalterj Jones. Sirwalterj Jones Show.
Come on in. The water's fine. Oh, hello, everybody. Sirwalterj Jones Show. I'm here. It is a weekend edition. Baby, how y'all is? Come on in, come on in. Water's fine, water's fine, water's fine. We're talking about the book of Job. It's a great one. It's a great story, and that we like to bring up. And people sometimes fight over. The scholars do, but yet it is an encouraging story of those of you who've gone through pain and struggle and tragedy, and it ties you into how God's love is. Well, he showed Job something through his friends and through then us, of course, who's reading the story. And throughout the eons of time, and men have read this book and either was encouraged or discouraged. The sinners decide that they want to use this as an excuse to say that God is not a good God and that he destroys, and even good people, that he put things on them. And then there are those who are a little more intelligent than that to understand that, like any father, God is definitely a gracious and merciful God. We who don't want to see it don't want to see it. All of y'all who are here, I can't give you the shout outs because there's too many of you to shout out. If I shout out one, I gotta shout out all of you. Yesterday, I want to thank y'all for giving to Haiti. What an amazing night we had. That CashApp went off for about an hour in that show, and all night long I heard that CashApp go off. By the time we ended the show, we had raised $2,000 for the people of Haiti, as we have a school down there. For those of you who didn't go to the show last night, you can go to my channel, and the show is out of Proverbs chapter 3. It's talking about righteousness and wisdom. Go to that show. Towards the end of the show, I had Mark's success. He is born and raised in Haiti, and he is a member of our church. And he is a great young man, a great elder, a great man of God. And so you all was able to raise that money. And by the time I woke up this morning, y'all had raised $3,000. By the time I got to church, y'all had raised $3,300. I don't think y'all understand what's going on. And by the time I started this show, y'all are almost at I think probably $3,700 right now. There was a deficit. The money that was promised to the school didn't come, and they were months behind, and the teachers have not been paid in months. Y'all just paid half the year of salaries, and y'all have fed many of those students for months to come. The people of God are the most amazing people that I know. So if you still want to continue to give to Haiti, be sure that you put that in the Cash App in the description. That's how I know that money is allocated to Haiti. Haiti only. If you don't do that, that money is allocated to the Sirwalterj show. You understand? Because we have emptied out. All right. So allocate that. And the wonderful thing about your money is that there's no administrative costs. It ain't going to nothing but the Haitian people. Not one dime is going to administrative costs. Oh, what a glorious God we serve. All right, y'all, let's get in here. Tiffany, and thank you, girl. You blessed us as well. Some of y'all came in right before I came on the show. So thank you. I think who was that? Alice Hawks. Thank you, girl. I saw your comment. Yes, it came in. All right. The book of Job is a great book. Is the book of Job a true story or a parable or an allegory? Well, we can kind of break that out by talking about the different types of poetic devices. And I started writing right before the show came on, and let me see if I can find. Do I have my whiteboard? Let's find. Let's see if we can do the whiteboard here. Okay. I did start writing before I went live, and talking about the poetic devices. Okay, and alliterations, and let's see. Get my pen here. Where are your pen? There you go, right there. Okay, alliterations. These are some of the styles of writing that we're used to seeing, whether we're in school or whether we're reading the Bible. These are actually like rhymes, okay, or initial. I would say, let's make this smaller here, or initial rhymes, okay. Let's, for instance, picture perfect. Rocky Road. I have a quick question. And these are that's what alliterations are. The assonance, which is different from consonants, is a more of a repetitive thing. it's a repetition of identical vowel sounds. Okay, and you're not necessarily going to see that in Jewish poetry or literature, not in the scriptures, but we do see that. For instance, Sally sails seashore beside the seas, whatever, seashell beside the seashore. When we were kids, we were listening to our teachers try to tell us to go fast with Peter Piper picked a peck of pickled peppers, blah blah blah. That's assonance, okay. Similes is we all know what that is. That's as or like. Okay, we do see that as the deer panteth over the water, so does my soul panteth after you. Metaphors, of course, would be something like, I don't know, I am a rock. Okay, that's a metaphor. All right, Peter, Petra. All right, that's what that is, a rock. Okay. Personifications, that's making something that's inanimate more of a person, or it has a person-like attribute. For instance, I heard the ground. I heard the ground scream. Okay, that's a personification. We know that the ground do not scream. Okay, we already know what hyperboles are. All right. For instance, let's say 8 days a week. Okay, that's a hyperbole. We know what an irony is. That's ironic. That's so, such an irony. We know what that is. The antithesis, we know that it never rains in Southern California, yet it pours. That's the antithesis. Sometimes we use the word juxtaposition, okay, a lot. All right. Characteristics would be more like the characters within a story. When I was young, I used to love the song Eleanor Rigby, da 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 da. Okay, or Mr. Bojangles, okay, dance, or the song At 17. Many of you don't know that song. Y'all are too saved to remember that song. It was by Janice Ewan or something like that. Da 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 da. Da 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 da. At 17. That's all I know. Okay. That's characterizations, all right? But when it comes to allegories, which is where the people think that Job is, for instance, George Orwell, okay, we were taught to read a book on Animal Farm. Okay, I don't know if some of you were asked to read that. Nathan Hawke had a story of the Scarlet Letter. Okay, and then of course, when I was a child, we would see the cartoons on Aesop's Fables. Okay, all right, on Saturdays. All right, and so these are many of the things that we've learned in school, in grammar school, high school, whatever school, okay, that taught us, okay, the way of poetry or poet devices. I need another hour in a day so I can love you 20. Yes, that's good. Hyperboles, David Rogers. Janice Ian. Yeah, that's her. Yeah, so y'all wasn't saved all your life. Wow, I didn't know that. It's pretty good. Okay. So that was going on there. Now, as it pertains to the story here, okay, with Job, we are going to see 3 or 4 characters pop up here Let's see here. And those characters would be number one. We see the brother Eliphaz. Okay, now this dude is from. He's a Temanite, actually, is what the scripture is going to say where he's from. Number two is Bildad. All right, and he is a Shuhite. Okay, and then of course this third person is Zophar, and Zophar is a Namathite. Okay, that's who he is. All right. I believe that Eliphaz, he speaks first because he is the oldest. And I believe they probably speak in the order of that. And then this young guy, he decides to break the ice, and his name is Elihu. Okay, and we'll talk about him in just a minute. All right. So these are the characters that pop up. And these characters here, I actually call these three guys, Eliphaz, Bildad, and Zophar, I call them Mo, Larry, and Curly. You understand? That's who these guys are. All right? And for obvious reasons, they are the three Stooges. Okay? And some of you have those friends in your life, okay, because they look at your downtrodden life, okay, howbeit may be short, and they are trying to tell you that the thing that you did was your fault. The reason why you are going through what you're going through has everything to do with you. Yes, they really are. And a person who is not wise into who cannot understand the scriptures, and this is why I tell y'all, don't just read King James, but you got to get you a couple of different Bibles to help you understand some things. All right, and get your different translations, get you a great concordance, and on, because it's going to help you understand that these men who were speaking was trying to speak from wisdom, but they were actually ignorant. They were ignorant. Yvonne, I'm waiting on you to email me. All right? Will you please email me? I appreciate it. Thank you. I love the Beatles, Rolling Stones, and the Chamber Brothers. Time has come. Yeah, Barbara Pritchard. Yeah, time has come today. Yeah, time. With friends like that, you don't need enemies, i.e. Facebook friends. Oh my God. Yeah, it's a hit in the gut. Okay, so right here, let's talk about that. Is the book of Job a true story? The book of Job is one of the world's oldest, most influential, and most powerfully written works of literature because it is very old, and the book does not identify the author. All right, there was no way to be entirely sure who wrote Job or exactly when it was written. So we if we don't know who wrote it, we don't really know when it was written. Some theorize that the story of Job was recorded by Samuel or Moses or an even earlier Hebrew author. Some might even say Elihu might have been one of the writers. The setting for the story itself is ancient, making no reference to the priesthood or temple sacrifices. So this is why it's pre-law. The book is also written mostly in poetic form. Now, we will read in here where he did like a sacrifice or something like that on behalf of his kid's sin, but that doesn't mean that the law was going on at the time, because you have to understand there are things that were cultural that God implemented into the Mosaic law. For instance, tithing. Tithing was a cultural thing. This is why Abram gave a tithe to Melchizedek, all right, after he won this war from the king of whoever, and he brought back the spoils of war, and then he gave 90% back to the king of Sodom, all right, and so tithing was a cultural thing to do back then. All right, so giving sacrifices was a cultural thing. Adam and Eve's children, what did they do to offer unto God? You understand? So some people think this might have been during the time of the Mosaic reign, but it wasn't. Because you think it was, because based off of what he did in sacrifices. Anyway, as a result, some wonder if the book of Job is in fact a parable or an allegory, and this is why I brought you through poetic license and devices so that you can see the difference between the two. Jesus often told parables, and in such stories, the characters and situations are not assumed to be actual, but simply a means to make a point. Could the book of Job be non-literal as well? Now, Jesus did make a parable when he was talking about the rich man and Lazarus, but that was not a parable, although some of your Bibles will put all the parables up under one heading, and they'll put that story in there. All right, Luke chapter 16. But it wasn't a parable because it's based off of the man's name, and Jesus never put a name under someone, given a name in his stories. He just gave you types and shadows and nature and what have you. Okay, but that definitely was not a parable. Okay. I love the book of Job, especially chapters 38. Yeah, it's gonna get fun when we get to chapter 38. God is watching. That's one of my favorites. Okay. All right. Would somebody put that email in the comments? I couldn't find it. Thank you before I get. Man, I'm telling you, I wanted to take my belt off. Delia, I need you to email me as well. All right. I saw your comment yesterday. I need you to email me. And Joan is looking for you. All right. Delia Adams, I need you to email me. Don't play. Don't you play. Don't play with the mind of God. Email me, please. All right. Y'all are my people. And I have to look after you. He has given me to you and you to me. And you are my responsibility. In the case of Job, let's see here. In the case of Job, there are several good reasons to interpret the book as historical rather than allegorical. Okay. These include the way in which Job is introduced, reference to Job in the book of Ezekiel. All right. And there's references of Job in the book of James. It's important when you see these references, all right, that they are important. Okay, there's my email. All right. You see it there. I need you to reach out to me, Delia, or you will be punished. You will be punished. All right. In the first chapter of the book of Job, Job is introduced as a man from a specific location in the country of Uz. Uz. Okay. Now, this Uz is definitely a place, and I actually believe that this place can be located today. I believe it's a place called Wadi Sirhan. If you Google it, Job suggests that Wadi Sirhan, a 200-mile long depression in the northmost part of Saudi Arabia, as the most likely contender for being the land of Uz. It is the catchment for the waters that run off Jebel Druze and is capable of supporting large herds of livestock such as what Job had. All right. It was close enough to Edom to be occasionally linked with Edom. Yet it was also within the striking distance of the Chaldean raiders. All right. So you see Uz or Uz pop up. As a matter of fact, I think I have a map here of it, the location here. A little bit here, and you see here in the middle here. Here's Jordan. Let me bring this over here. There's Jordan at the top. Here's the Red Sea where our dear brother crossed over from Egypt over into Saudi Arabia. Okay, and so we believe it's in this red area here. All right. Okay, so in many there are many instances in the scriptures where we can locate places that seem like, well, they may have had a different name, but the name have changed. You understand? Okay. So the Old Testament consistently refers to Job as though he was a real historical person. You understand? A real historical person. The book also goes into great detail about Job's finances and family. While it is possible that these might simply be vivid details of parables, such as particulars were not common in ancient allegorical literature, or literature, the general way that Job, the man, is described suggests that this was a real person. All right, historical person. In Ezekiel Chapter 14 and 14, he brings it out, and then he does it in verse 20 as well. Even if these three men he mentions in Ezekiel 14, even if these three men, Noah, Daniel, and Job. Well, we know Noah was real. We know Daniel was real. Why would he put these two real men with a fake man? He says, even if these three men, Noah, Daniel, and Job, were in it, they would deliver but their own lives by their righteousness. Right? Now, God mentions Noah, Daniel, and Job as examples of righteousness. The content or the context of this statement would not make sense if Job was merely a literary figure. The assumption of this text is that Job was real. Now, the New Testament makes a similar reference to Job. James 5 and 11. Behold, we consider these blessed who remain steadfast. You have heard of the steadfastness of Job, and you have seen the purpose of the Lord, on how the Lord is compassionate and merciful. Yep, Job is mentioned as an example of spiritual endurance, and every other figure mentioned in the book of James is an actual historical person, including Abraham and Rahab and Elijah, as well as Ezekiel's reference to Job. James' illusion makes the most sense if Job is an actual person whom we are to emulate. You understand? And all in all, there is more evidence suggesting Job to be an account of history than a parable or an allegory. And based on current information, we can't say for sure when it was written or by whom. However, it don't matter. Both internal and external evidence seems to suggest that Job is meant to be read as fact and not as fiction. Y'all understand? So that we got to close that notion down, that when y'all hear from these atheists and agnostics, they need to see and they need to realize that Job indeed is or was a real story. Ron agrees, and that's all I need. That's all I need. Yeah, that's right. Princess. And his lamentation makes him real. Come on. You better. Princess, all right, go ahead. That's what I'm talking about. All right. Percy asked the question, was Job considered a Jew? We don't know. we don't know because Jews were not the only ones who did sacrifices. Yeah. Job, my brother from another. Yeah. If y'all knew Joe Hill's story, you would agree. Yeah, he's fact, not fiction. Beatrice Cartel. All right. So with that being said, we can get in here and talk about it because we have to bring up these characters here, Job and God and Satan, and then these friends of his are these characters that I want to bring out in the story. All right, so let me pull up the book of Job on here. I guess I should have had it up already. I'm going to read it out of the NLT, obviously, for obvious reasons, and I might have to present some King James-like stuff here, okay? Now, let me shut some of this stuff off so that it won't really be pulling so much power from my computer. There once was a man named Job who lived in the land of Uz. Now you understand where that place is. He was blameless, a man of complete integrity. He feared God and stayed away from evil. That's it. He had 7 sons and 3 daughters, and he owned 7,000 sheep, 3,000 camels, and 500 teams of oxen. That's something that you can plainly see in the land of Saudi Arabia. And 500 female donkeys, and he also had many servants. He was, in fact, the richest person in that entire region. And Job's sons would take turns preparing feasts in their homes, and they would also invite their 3 sisters to celebrate with them. When these celebrations ended, sometimes after several days, Job would purify the children. He would get up early in the morning and offer a burnt offering for each of them. All right. Hence the questions of was he a Jew or not? For Job said to himself, perhaps my children have sinned and have cursed God in their hearts. And this was Job's regular practice. All right. And then comes Job's first test. All right. And one day, the members of the heavenly court came. Now, these are the sons of God. All right. As we see here in verse 6, then there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord. Now, there's a problem here. And the people who try to understand dispensation probably will get tongue tied twisted in this because of yes, it does sound like a Jewish custom, right? So we just don't know. But many other customs are sacrificed unto God. Jesus even talked about there are others that are not of this fold. And he was talking about the Gentile nations, okay? So we look at the scriptures as it always being a Jew thing to sacrifice. The Apostle Paul talked about although we speak in tongues of angels and tongues of men. Well, I mentioned that the other day as well. These tongues of angels were people who were not believers in a sense. Well, they wasn't because they had angels too that they spoke in tongues too. They worshiped and they presented blood sacrifices to these so-called angels that they created, and these gods, and Dagon and Ashtaroth and Baal worship and what have you, and Moloch. Okay, these gods had servants in whom they worshiped or they gave blood sacrifices to these. So you can't just assume that it was just a Jewish custom thing to do. And this is why I brought him. Now, do we know if Job was? We don't know. He could have been. And I'm leaning towards maybe he was, because if Moses wrote it, then possibly he was. If Moses is the writer or Ezekiel was the writer, okay, possibly he could have been. All right. But possibly he could not have been because Moses also wrote about Adam and Eve who were not Jews. Y'all understand what I'm saying? Thank you, Winston Hodges. I see y'all in the CashApp there for Haiti and from wherever you wanted to go. Okay. All right. So one day the members of the heavenly court came to present themselves before the Lord, and the accuser came. The accuser, Satan, came with them. Where have you come from? The Lord asked Satan, and Satan answered the Lord, I have been patrolling the earth, watching everything that goes on. He's down on the earth, seeking, going to and fro, seeking in whom that he may devour. All right. How did Satan get back into heaven? Was not he kicked out? Huh? Was not that fool kicked out of heaven? Now he back up there. This is why some of the unbelievers think that the scriptures is falling up on top of itself. And that's not the case. That's just an error of ignorance on the part of people. Jesus said that he saw Satan fall as of lightning, from heaven. We know at the beginning that he wanted to be like God, and he was puffed up and lifted up, and I'll read that in a minute. And in fact, let's go there, all right, because this teaching can get really deep, and it will definitely require a part 2, part 3, but I'm not in the mood. Isaiah chapter 14 and 12. All right. It says here, how art thou fallen from heaven? All right. So we see it here. It's right here in front of us. I'm sure Pitts will put it there. All right. 14. How art thou fallen from heaven? O Lucifer, son of the morning. He even got a holy name. Isn't Jesus Christ called something like that, son of the morning? How art thou cut down to the ground, which didst weaken the nations? For thou hast said in thine heart, I will ascend into heaven. I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. I will sit also upon the mount of the congregation in the sights of the north. I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. Ain't that something? Oh, wait, there's more. And then what's the answer here? Yet thou shalt be brought down to hell. All right. You see, there's a number 1 there, which means it's a mistranslation. Let's see what that means. Sheol. See that? To hell, to the sides of the pit. They that see thee shall narrowly look upon thee and consider thee, saying, is this the man that made the earth to tremble? All right. And that's a fight there too. Because when it said man, agnostics and atheists and those who are struggling believe that this person was not Lucifer or Satan, but it was indeed this man here, this king here. All right. That's a whole nother Bible study. Yes. Is he the prince of the air too? Maybe he has legal right to appear. Not sure. That's a great question. He is the prince of the power of the air. Absolutely. All right. Now you're answering my question on how did he get into heaven? All right. How did he get there? The Lord has given him dominion, given him the rights of certain portions of the world and of the sky, or what's called the heavens. There are 3 heavens that, remember, the Apostle Paul was caught up in the 3rd heaven, which means there's a 2nd and the 1st heaven. And sometimes the scripture refers to heavens as terrestrial, telestial, and terrestrial, telestial, and the other one. Okay. We have, when I was on the radio here in Chicago called 1470, it was called terrestrial. I'm sorry. It was called, what was it called? Telestial radio. I think it was called. Telestial radio, something like that. Okay. So thank you, William. So there's a celestial, terrestrial, and that one. Because E.T. was called what? What was he called? All right. So these are sometimes considered the heavens. There's the sky. There is, I believe that's more terrestrial. Okay. And there is the stars, or the galaxies. Okay. And then there is, extra. There you go. Terrestrial. There you go. Right. All right. So we called it terrestrial radio because it was here on the earth. Anyway, that's a long story. Ezekiel. Okay. Ezekiel. Then brings up this guy, Lucifer. So let's just assume that God allowed Satan to be in the meeting with the sons of God, which were the angels. He allowed him to be here on the earth, and he allowed him to be in the heaven because of what Princess alluded to. He definitely was given the keys to become the prince of the power of the air. And who gave him that? Adam did. Adam passed it over to him. There it is. Celestial, terrestrial, and telestial kingdoms. Now, that teaching is really rooted in the Mormons. Those three bodies. All right? More so. We don't really... That's another story. Okay. Because some Bibles have removed it. And some Bibles keep it in. Ezekiel chapter 28 and 13 talks about this Lucifer guy. Okay? Thou hast been in Eden, the garden of God. Every precious stone was thy covering. The sardis, topaz, it goes on and on and on. Thou art anointed cherub that covers. And I have set thee so. Thou was upon the holy mountains of God, and thou hast walked up and down the midst of the stones of fire. You were perfect in your ways, from the day that thou was created till iniquity was found in you. That's a reference to Isaiah 14. By the multitude of thy merchandise they have filled the midst of thee in violence. I will cast thee. It goes on and on. Okay? He said, you are wearing the stones. Now, there's 12 stones of the Jewish people of the 12 tribes of Israel. Satan was not allowed to wear 12 stones. We did that show already. I'm sure I did. All right. He was only allowed to wear 9. He was not allowed to wear 12. And if you read the stones here, it only adds up to 9. Mm-hmm. All right. And I told y'all the reason why he was only allowed to wear 9, because three of Jacob's children, in which Jacob blessed, had he spoke over them something that is something that Satan himself, let's see, Satan himself couldn't wear. All right. These 3 sons is Issachar, Gad, and Asher. Satan could wear all these stones, the Reuben stone, the Simeon stone, the Levi stone, even the Judah stone, and where Jesus Christ come from. Hence, Satan is called what? That light that we've just read, that star. Jesus is too. He's also called a lion. Jesus is too. So Satan can wear, God allowed him to wear the stone of the Zebulun stone, the Dan stone, the Naphtali stone, the Joseph stone. Okay, those 12 stones he was allowed to wear, but he was not allowed to wear the Issachar stone, the Gad stone, or the Asher stone. Why? Y'all never heard this kind of teachings before. I understand. Bear with me. Well, look at what Asher, when he was blessing Asher. Now, I'm sorry, Issachar. That's why I say this book of Job need to be a part 2, part 3, part 4. I just don't have the time. Right here, Zebulun shall dwell. I'm sorry, Issachar is a strong ass couching down between 2 burdens. Satan can't wear that stone. Why? Satan cannot carry your burden. The Gad stone, he's not allowed to wear that. Why? A troop shall overcome him, but he shall overcome at the last. Satan is not an overcomer. Verse 20, Asher. What did it say? Asher. His bread shall be fat, and he shall yield royal dainties. There's nothing royal about Satan. Those 3, he was forbidden. So when we get to Job, okay? When we get to Job, then we now need to see. Blessings to you, Jerome, Pastor Jerome Harrod. I enjoyed you today, sir. I stayed around for as long as I could while I was eating dinner, and I was tired. But he talked about the gospel of reconciliation. What a great word. What a great word today, Pastor. All right. And your analogy of your friends in whom y'all act like you were enemies with each other, but you were right there at his death. I thought it was a great analogy, man. Keep preaching the gospel of Jesus Christ until you die. And then in heaven, you and I are going to just exchange notes. Okay? I'm going to read some of your notes. Job's first test. All right? There in heaven, Satan shows up. I have been patrolling the earth. And then the Lord asks, have you noticed my servant Job? He is the finest man in all the earth. He is blameless, a man of complete integrity. He fears God and stays away from evil. Satan replies, hear his reply. Yes, but Job has good reason to fear God. You have always put a wall of protection or a hedge around him and his home and his property. You have made him prosper in everything he does. Of course. Look how rich he is. But reach out and take away everything he has, and he will surely curse you to your face. And God said, okay, do whatever you want to do with him, but you can't take his life. And then we see all the destruction that happens to Job. There's a lot going on in your life, y'all. And Satan is the accuser of the brethren. You understand? Look at Moses' bones in whom they were contending over. Okay? Look at the when Revelation talked about, I know y'all quote this in church about the testimonies. It says, you overcame him, not you overcame by the words of your testimony and the blood of the Lamb. No, they overcame him, Satan. Understand? So there's a way to get him. And the best weapon against Satan is the word of God. Y'all can go ha-ta-ta-ta-ta all you want to. You can scream at Satan all you want to. You can bang on the table. You can jump for joy all you want to. Satan is in church jumping with you. He might even have the clergy on. You understand? He's right there with y'all. As a matter of fact, when Jesus was going to the temple, Satan was right there in the temple and inside of a man. They weren't outside. They were inside the temple. How was it comfortable? That comfortable in a place, a temple. How is it so comfortable in your church that Satan feels he's sitting in a recliner with his feet up and smoking a pipe in your church? Y'all made him that comfortable. I just don't understand that. Lady said, please stop binding him. Yes. And he said there was that Satan, the Lord God, rebuke you. He's the only one who has the capability of rebuking. Now, sometimes I say, I rebuke you, man. I rebuke you. And sometimes I'll say, I rebuke that brother. Well, I rebuked him not by my power. I rebuked him by the power of Jesus Christ. You understand? My father used to say, keep on playing with Satan if you want to. Keep on playing with him. He right there in church with y'all singing, holy, holy, holy. Holy is the Lord, Lord God my. Yeah. Yvonne say, wait, I'm sitting in my recliner now. Oh, man. He's comfortable in church being served by someone. Ooh, to the wee. Girl. Tresca, you always a problem. You always causing problems. All right. Now, I'm going to make this real fast. I'm going to go through the book here. I'm going to just take my camera and let's go through this book together and look at some of the things that we need to pay attention to. All right. Because if I keep doing this show will be in 9 hours. All right. Here's the intro. Okay. Now, what we see here is the first assault. What we see here is the first assault. Okay. You see that? I reference Revelation 2. Okay. That's the first assault. He wipes out all kind of stuff and his children. Here comes the second assault of Satan. Then God allows him to attack his body, and boils enter his body. Okay. And then the three Stooges show up. the arrival of these boys. And then Job's first speech. Okay? Now, let's go to Job's first speech, just the intro, not the whole thing. And let's see what he's saying here. Chapter 3. At last Job spoke, and he cursed the day that he was born. And this is the chapter of how he's cursing the day he was born. Some of you, and we've heard this in some popular writings about some people just cursing the day they were born because they've gone through so much turmoil and trouble. Let the day of my birth be erased, and the night I was conceived. Let that day be turned to darkness. Let it be lost even to God on high, and let no light shine on it. Ooh, that's some dark stuff. Let the darkness utter gloom claim that day for its own. Let a black cloud overshadow it. Man, this is deep. Verse 11, why wasn't I born dead? He wanted to be stillborn, y'all. Why didn't I die while I was in the womb? Pretty much, why didn't my mother abort me then? Pretty much, right? Why was I laid on my mother's lap? Why did she even nurse me? Why did she continue to go through the process, first of all, of giving birth to me and then nursing me and weaning me and all this stuff? He was like, why am I going through this? I should not be here. That's true despair, y'all. Yet he stayed focused. All right, so then we get to chapter 4, and Eliphaz, he begins to speak. I believe he's the oldest. This is Mo speaking. The Temanite, he speaks. He says, will you be patient and let me say a word? For who could keep from speaking out? In the past, you have encouraged many people. You have strengthened those who were weak. Your words have supported those who were fallen. You encouraged those with shaking knees. But now, when trouble strikes, you lose heart? Really, Joe? You are terrible when it touches you. Doesn't your reverence for God give you confidence? Doesn't your life of integrity give you hope? Man, stop and think. Do the innocent really die? Oh, he's insinuating. You're being attacked, but really, do innocent people go through this? When have the upright been destroyed? My experience shows that those who plant trouble and cultivate evil will harvest the same. A breath from God destroys. That's this. I almost called him. Yeah, anyway, that's this boy right here. Okay, I like how our brother, who is this? Tony Evans brings out this dude right here. This dude. And he acting like a Jew. Because the Jews believe that this destruction happened to you because you had done some kind of sin. Remember that the building fell on these 18 people, and the disciples and the people around them were saying, well, these are worse of sinners because the building fell on them and killed them. And Jesus said, no, they wasn't. Remember the boy who was born blind, and they asked the question, who sinned, the boy or did his parents sin that he was born blind? What a dumb thing to say. How could a boy in his womb sin and then be born blind as a punishment? I mean, these are some of the dumb things that they thought, and some of the dumb things that some of y'all say as well. Oh, man. So, Evans says Eliphaz was a strict believer in cause and effect, like some of y'all. And his theology didn't allow for exceptions. His experience-based theory is summed up when he claims, in my experience, those who plow injustice and those who sow trouble, you're going to reap it. That is some bull. Aren't we all tested and tried? Now, God does not tempt us, but we sure are tested. And because Job's suffering was a cut and dry case of sin, Eliphaz felt Job might as well fess up, get it all out on the table, and admit that he deserved what happened to him. He should not reject the discipline of the Almighty. Man, you did something, so you need to repent. Rather, he should just receive God's correction so that God would heal him. That's some crapola. That is some crapola. The human mind will come up with all kinds of foolish questions and answers. And man, can you imagine walking to a hospital, you sitting there in the hospital bed and dying, and somebody walking in there and say, well, now what kind of sin did you commit, my son, my daughter? Sonara, blessed to you, Henderson. God bless you. All right. What is this sin that you committed? All right. So he speaks, and then he continues in chapter 5. I'm not going to read chapter 5. So let's get back to bringing this out again. All right. Okay. So chapter 4. All right. Let me get my screen here. Chapter 4. All right. He believes the innocent do not suffer. Chapter 5. He calls Job foolish. Chapter 6. Job deep anguish. Okay. Job speaks again and he continues. It is some of the greatest poetry I have ever written. Even coming from pain, Job seeks his friend's sympathy. Man, come on, man. I'm suffering here and you coming up in here. And can you not show pity? To him that is afflicted, pity should be shown from his friend, but he forsaken the fear of the Almighty. I don't understand, man. Why would you come here to console me but telling me that I did something wrong? Man, I'm trying to tell you I didn't. So Job questioned God's continued trials, and now Job is now talking to God. Man, I don't understand. Is there not an appointed time to man upon the earth? Are not his days also like the days of the hireling? As a servant earnestly desires the shadow, and as a hireling looking for the reward of his work? Come on, so am I made to possess months of vanity? Come on, God, come on. And then this dude speak, Bildad's first speech. How long wilt thou speak these things? And how long shall the words of thy mouth be like a strong wind? This guy is like the first guy. Yvonne said, I would have to put them out. But what can he do? He's sitting there and he's in pain. And they sat there in silence for a whole week. And they didn't say nothing to the man. Job argues his case then in 9. And then number 10, Job questions his oppression. Then here go this guy, Jophar's first speech. Then he speaks, should not the multitude of words be answered? And should a man full of talk be justified? A man full of talk. Should thy lies make men hold their peace? What? And when thou mockest, shall no man make thee ashamed? Zophar. Y'all see that? That's just crazy. Empty talk. Be silent. He said it was empty talk. 12 said Job tells his friends, only God knows. He's wising up. 13, Job begs God to speak to him. God, will you please say something to me? And God says nothing. It goes on. 14 goes on. Job mourns that man has only one life. Man that is born of a woman is of a few days. This is a very popular verse here, and full of trouble. James 4:13. Your life is but a vapor. You got the vapors. He cometh forth like a flower and is cut down. What I say here, if a man dies, shall he live again? All the days of my appointed time will I wait till my change come. This is another very special verse that y'all like to write. They even have a song that said, no, that's the wrong song. All right. Now, 15, Job's mouth condemns him. Eliphaz, he's talking. Should a wise man utter vain knowledge? 16, y'all. Job calls his friends miserable comforters. I have heard many such things. Miserable comforters are ye all. Y'all are horrible. Shall vain words have an end? They kept going at him. He said, y'all, why y'all even here? He laments his situation. All right. And Job, he defends his innocence, and God makes Job a byword. Now, God is not speaking necessarily here. All right. 18, he speaks again, Bildad. 19, Job's response to Bildad. All right. 20, he speaks again, Zophar. 21, Job responds to, okay. 22, this dude, he speaks, okay. I told you I'm going to read through the Bible. Job will come forth as gold. Well, then Job answered and said, even today is my complaint bitter. My stroke is heavier than my groaning. Oh, that I knew where I might find him, that I might come even to his seat. I would order my cause before him and fill my mouth with arguments, and I would know the words which he... Oh, you see what he's doing here, y'all? He's encouraging himself. 24, God seems indifferent to the wicked. Or why, seeing times are not hidden from the Almighty? Do they that know him not see his days? Questions. He got a whole bunch of questions. 25, his speech. 26, he responds to Bildad. 27, all right, Job affirms his righteousness. What? Finally, he affirms it. They keep telling him he's not righteous. Moreover, Job continues his parable and said, as God liveth, who has taken away my judgment, and the Almighty who has vexed my soul? All the while my breath is in me, and the Spirit of God is in my nostrils. What? My lips shall not speak wickedness, nor my tongue utter deceit. My man, come on, Job. Come on, man. Fight, man. Fight. All right. 28. Job observes that man cannot discover wisdom. 29. Job remembers his happy past. Yeah, that's how you encourage yourself. Think about your good times. Good times. Anyway, 30. Job describes his present humiliation. He's making a comparison. I get it. But now they that are younger than I have me in derision, whose fathers I would be have disdained, to have set with the dogs of my flocks. All right, now 31. Innocent of sensual sins. I made a covenant with mine eyes. Why then should I think upon a maid? Come on, man. For what portion of God is there from above? What are you insinuating here? What are these friends of his? Innocence of abusing his power. I mean, he's defending all these things that they're saying against him. They said he trusted in wealth, innocence of not caring for his enemies, and all this stuff that y'all do in church. All right, 32, Elihu intervenes. Now, this other guy pops up with a pompous attitude, but he tells the truth, but it's pompous. So these three men ceased to answer Job because he was righteous in his own eyes. Pious. Then he kindled the wrath of Elihu, the son, and it goes on. All right, 33, Elihu challenges Job to a debate. What? Come on, man. This man is sick. He ain't got time for this. He ain't got the strength for that. Elihu challenges Job to a debate again. 35, Elihu's third rebuttal. 36, Elihu believes that God is disciplining Job. He just like them three Stooges. All right. 37, it goes on. The pericope continues. That's why there is no heading there on 37. You have to put them two together. All right. 38, God questions Job from the realm of creation. Here we are, y'all. Here we are. Ooh-wee. Then the Lord answered Job out of the whirlwind and said, I have to read that in the NLT because it's just that good, y'all. What is this? This is 38. All right. It's insulting to God. All right. It's quite insulting. He said, then the Lord answered from a whirlwind, who is this that questioned my wisdom with such ignorant words? I love the way King James said, who is this that darkens counsel by words without knowledge? Ignorant. Brace yourself like a man. because I have some questions for you, and you must answer them. Now, this is a father speaking to a son. I have kept for the 9 months I've carried you, you mothers out there. All right, growing inside of me, no charge for the cottage, for the food. All right, I took you to the store. I walked you. I burped you, fed you. I changed your diapers. All this stuff, and now you want to charge me for this? In that wonderful song, this is what God is saying to many of you. How dare you ask me this question after all I've done for you? While you was yet nasty, dirty, and sin, I sent my son, my only one, and he died for your nasty butt. That's why I say you are as filthy rags. You are like dung. That's doo-doo, y'all. That's doo-doo. That's boo-boo. That's excrement. You like that. And this is why in the book of Malachi, he says, I put you on the dung pile, and I took the doo-doo and squashed your face with it, you nasty. How dare you question my authority? That's what he's saying to some of you. All right? He said, brace yourself like a man. Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? Tell me, if you know so much, who determined its dimensions and stretched out the surveying line? I have a surveying line here, y'all. My father's a carpenter, all right? And, I bought some tools too, okay? This is a plumb line, y'all. This is a plumb line. And what I saw was my father, he took this hitch here and he hitched it to the top of the ceiling there, and he unraveled his long cord, and he let that plumb line go all the way down to the floor. Why? This plumb line got weight to it. If it was light, you would not get a good reading. This thing is heavy, y'all. It weighs as much as my grandson do. I mean, it's solid gold. All right? And he would do this, and he let that plumb line do this. He tried to keep it real still, all right, if he was holding it. But this is the purpose of the latch, so that you don't have to hold it, and real still. And if that thing comes to a steady, and this, it's touching the ground. That lets you know it's plumb, y'all. And then he would go to the floor, and then he would take this thing that looked like a measuring tape, okay, and then he would strike. He would put this straight line. This is caulk. This is chalk, marking chalk. He'd open that up and pour the chalk on the ground, okay. Or he would saturate this string with the chalk, y'all. This is what God did. This is what God did while he was creating the earth. He saturated the line, okay, and then he stretched it out. This is what God is saying. All right. I don't know what's wrong with this thing, but there it is. He stretched it out, y'all. And the chalk is on it. And then he'll tell me, son, hold the end of this. And I held the end. And then he would hold the end on the other end. And then on the ground, he would take it and he'd pluck it. Poop! Why? Because the chalk, wherever he plucked it, it would hit the ground and it would make a straight line. And then he started cutting his plywood and cutting his 2x4s and 4x8s, and he put up a wall in no time. That's what God did, y'all. He said, where were you when I surveyed the land? When I created out of nothing, where were you when I laid that foundation? Who determined the dimensions and stretched out the surveying line? What supports this foundation, huh? And who lays his cornerstone as the morning stars sang together and all the angels shouted for joy? Who kept the sea inside its boundaries as it burst from the womb? As I clothed it with clouds and wrapped it in thick darkness. What? For I locked it behind barred gates, limited its shores. I said, this far and no further will you go. Here your proud waves must stop. The Lord took the Atlantic and the Pacific and the Mediterranean and the seas and all these great bodies of water. And he allowed it to get so high, so tall, so vast. But when it get to the land, God said, stop. Hammer time. Lord have mercy. He stopped it. And so y'all go up on the beach. Why is it and how is it possible that big body of ocean don't come and cover us and our land and our territory and Great Chicago, the Michigan River, okay, that great body of water, the Great Lakes. How is it possible that it just stops at our borders? Because God said stop. Don't allow it to go any further. And then he shot the moon in the sky and that lunar light that gives light at the nighttime. And that thing has a magnet on it that it pulls that body of water. It pulls it like a magnet and it brings in the tides. How could something so far have a magnet to it that it pulls? And when you see the moon, it is round, but what it does is it actually acts like a pimple on the face. When y'all got a pimple on your face, I know I've had many of them. When you press your face like that, you squeeze in the liquid out of your pimple. Hopefully you got a blackhead there that tells you, all right, that pimple is ready. And you squeeze it and go. That's what the moon is doing. It is taking the earth, all right, because that earth is rotating and the moon is there and the sun is over here and that earth is doing this, all right, and the moon, what it's doing is it's making the sun, is making the earth do this, not this. The earth don't stay this way. The moon is causing the earth to do this like a pimple, and it squeezes it. This is why the ocean's tides move, because it magnetizes the earth, it squeezes it like a balloon, and it causes the tides. I'm telling you, who else was Job there to witness such an act? What about the rain? I saw an analogy here. Look at even how the cycle of the rain is, y'all. This is God at his greatest, all right? Look what he did here in the cycle of the rain. It starts here, the body of water, the water storage in the oceans, and it goes up and it's evaporated. It evaporates into the air, depending on your climate. If you're in maritime or whether you're in the plain area, it evaporates into the clouds. It's called condensation. Okay, the water it stores in the clouds. And the clouds hover over the waters. And then the clouds get heavy because the liquid is heavy. The clouds move over to the land, and then it begins to drop that water out of the clouds because it gets too heavy. It's saturated. Water storage, and then you get precipitation, all right? Then you got the snow melt runs off to the streams. The infiltration goes through the floor, the ground. All right, all this stuff here is that great cycle. It's a great cycle, y'all. And God did this for the health of us so that we can live, because we can drink the water. The plants could grow. And then he made the water to fall on the plants so that the plants could grow, so that we can receive oxygen. It's called photosynthesis, I believe it is. Y'all learned this stuff in grammar school. It's a fool that says in his heart there is no God. For he says, I locked it up. And what he did was he took the snow. He formed the waters, and then he pushed it. 3/4 of the earth is filled with water. And in the northern hemisphere, the North Pole, where it's so cold, he capped that water. And I believe that when he flooded the earth during the time of Noah, that he had to do something with that water, because water don't go anywhere. It forms in three things. It's liquid, it's gas or vapor, and it is solid. So when it rained and God flooded the earth, he had to do something with that excess water. So what did he do? He pushed that water to the northern hemisphere and he made it cold and then he froze it. Oh, Lord have mercy. Hallelujah. Okay. And he capped it off and he protected it from mankind. Now, y'all can go up there and play around in North Pole all you want to, but I'm fine down here in Chicago. He asked Job, do the rain have a father? Ooh, BW. Oh, that's just crazy. It's crazy. Have you ever commanded the morning to appear and caused the dawn to rise in the east? Did you do that? Have you made daylight spread to the ends of the earth to bring an end to the night's wickedness? How many of you seen? You're traveling. I've traveled from Chicago where I literally saw the sun from Chicago on my way to South Dakota dropping from the sky right before my eyes. I went down into the tip of Miami, down the tip. What is it called? What's that thing? Where's the land called at the bottom of Florida, the very tip of Florida, way past Miami? In that long road, it took us 2 hours or maybe 3 hours to cross that bridge, and we is it the Florida Keys? Okay, and I went to the Florida Keys and sat at the edge of the United States. I sat there at the edge, and people from around the world come there just for that moment where the sun sets, and we would reach our hands out. Everybody was reaching their hands out because they felt like they could literally hold the sun in their hands, and we would go down with the sun. We would go down with the sun. It was right, and you can look the sun in its face and not be blinded. Oh, Lord have mercy, y'all. I tell you, it's amazing. Hold on. We got some folks here. We got some folks. I gotta get rid of the porn people come on here and they just like to cause problems. Okay, all right. As the light approaches, the earth takes shape like a clay pressed beneath a seal. It is robed in brilliant colors. The light disturbs the wicked and stops the arm that is raised in violence. Have you explored the springs from which the seas come? Have you explored their depths? Do you know where the gates of death are located? Have you seen the gates of utter gloom? There are people up under the earth, y'all. Whatever happened to these people? The Old Testament saints and those spirits that are chained in Hades, okay? Jesus went to the lower parts of the earth right there. He says, have you seen it? Do you know where that is? Do you realize the extent of the earth? Tell me about it if you know. Where does light come from? And where does darkness come from? Can you take each to its home? Do you know how to get there? Huh? But of course, you know all this, don't you? For you were born before it was all created, weren't you? And you are so very intelligent, experienced. Have you visited the storehouses of the snow or seen the storehouses of hell? Who created a channel for the taunt rain? Who laid out the path of lightning? Okay, I mentioned all of that stuff. Listen, y'all, this goes on and on and on. God is killing this man. He's killing this man with this talk. Where were you when I did all of this? Sit down. And then he talked about these great animals here. He says, behold the behemoth, which I made with thee. I made the behemoth with you. This behemoth is a dinosaur, we believe. It's a dinosaur, a large animal. That's what a behemoth is, which I made with thee. He eat grass as an ox. All right. Lo, now his strength is in the loins, and his force is in the navel of his belly. He move his tail like a cedar. And many of the people try to say that, you know, this is a hippopotamus, this is an elephant, this is all this stuff, okay? The sinews of his stones are wrapped. No, man, a cedar tree. Have y'all seen a cedar tree and the tail on this thing? This behemoth was amazing, huge, y'all. And the Bible doesn't call it a dinosaur because the word wasn't invented then. So they had to come up with a word, behemoth. And then in chapter 41, he talks about this Leviathan. I believe this Leviathan was a depiction of what the Asians may call a fire-breathing dragon. Every time you see the ancient the Asians and their depiction of a dragon, and y'all see that, I believe they almost got it right. In chapter 41, it talks about no man can tame this thing, and it breathes fire. It calls it a torch or something like that. Verse 19, out of his mouth go burning lamps, and sparks of fire leap out. Out of his nostrils goes smoke, as out of the seething pot of a cauldron. His breath kindles coals, and a flame goes out. Can't nobody tame this beast. Do y'all know any beasts that are living today that nobody can tame? Even the whales, man has captured and tamed it, in a sense, okay? But this thing, can't nobody tame this thing. This is a big monster. I believe this is a dinosaur, y'all. Man, let me tell you. And then the Bible says that Job, what? He repent. Job repents of his rebellion. The deliverance of Job and his friends. He get it all back. Oh, man. His wife told him to curse God and die. Y'all, there's no way we can do this thing justice. That's how powerful it is. Come on, Nathan said, how to train a dragon. Ooh, y'all. I can't go no further because I can, but I ain't. I do want to mention some of the things that were going on here. I want to thank you. Who was this? Sonara Hawkins Henderson gave a great testimony. All right, and thank you for giving. We can continue to pray for her because she lost her younger daughter, passed away August 26th from COVID. All right, and in lieu of that, this wonderful woman of God gave a couple $100 to the Haiti Fund on behalf of her children, her grandchildren. She has 2 daughters, raising her 2 daughters. Her daughter died, and she's raising the 2 daughters, and she's giving to Haiti on behalf of the 2. Man, let me tell you, boy, the people of God are truly, truly amazing people. So do I. Dinosaurs were real, for real, Michelle. Amazing people of God. The question of the day, do you believe seminary school is needed, and what if you fear taking your call? Is seminary school needed? Absolutely not. It is not needed. It is desired. I would wish that some people do go. If you see a Baptist person and you see if you see a Baptist pastor and a Church of God in Christ pastor, and you put them together, and the people are calling each one of them Doc. Hey, Doc. Hey, Doc. If he say, hey, Doc, to the Baptist pastor, he's a real doctor. If he say, hey, Doc, to a Kojic pastor, no. Nah, not really. All right. Now, do you have to go to seminary? Absolutely not. As a matter of fact, many seminary students watch my show every day. I have pastors and those who are PhDs who come to the Sirwalterj show, and they're learning from a guy who never stepped foot. Well, I did. I taught seminary. That's how the irony of God's grace is that I never enrolled in Bible class, a theology or seminary, or I never enrolled. Okay, did I want to? Yes, and some of the schools were courting me. I was being courted by Moody Bible Institute. Okay, for a long time, I would be at Bible Institute a lot. I would go there though to make sure that the students stay in there, so they knew me by name and serial number. I walk in there, hey, Elder Jones, hey, Brother Jones, hey, Sir Walter, okay? And I would talk to them, and I would talk to the finance department to make sure these kids are getting a fair share, all right? And so I did rescue a few kids when they were getting ready to kick the kids out. I got them to stay in there. So how dare you be a Christian school, and this kid can't afford to stay here, yet then you kick him out? What kind of, y'all find a way to get that man, that kid some money, all right? And so they wanted me to be a part of it. So the schools were calling me to teach in their classes, and you'll see on Facebook and YouTube some of the classes that I did teach in seminary. But how is it possible that a man of my caliber would be asked by these people to teach? Is because, again, it's the providential plan of God. And many of y'all are the same way. All right, you don't need seminary Can seminary be good for you? Yes, because sometimes we try to learn stuff on our own. We can miss a few things, yes. But the power of God and the gift of the Holy Ghost reign on people and give them knowledge that seminary may miss, okay? And that real world situation that some of us have gone through, the hard knocks, me? Oh, yeah. And so you don't need it. So does that mean you should never go? I would never say that. Some of you do need it. All right. And then she asked what if you fear taking your call because of your past? Well, you're still alive, so you have an opportunity to get it right. And if God called you, trust me, he ain't slack. He gonna keep chasing you until you get it right. Okay. You might want to receive accept that call, but make sure it's from the Lord. There's many people who said they were called, but I'm sorry to tell you, based off of the fruit that's on that tree, they were not called. Absolutely not. They thought they were called. They heard a voice, but that voice was Uncle Pete upstairs asking them to turn down the TV. Yeah, come on, Lawrence Martin, come on. Yeah, I attempted to go multiple times and God kept disrupting me every attempt. I didn't understand. Yep. I talked to Liberty University. I talked to their finance department, their enrollment, whatever you call that place, the people in whom you call. And man, they were courting me hard. And then I said, I kept hearing the Spirit say, not now. It's not that he said no. He said, not now. Yeah, I got to work for you. And guess then what happened? COVID came, shut everything down. And then I realized, oh, that's why he said not now. Yeah, J. Red Cemetery. Yeah. Adronicus, blessed to you. And unfortunately, there are many professors up there who are agnostics and atheists who are teaching in many of these seminaries. So be careful, will you please? All right, y'all. I got to get out of here. I think I've done enough damage. Again, if those of you who want to give to the Sirwalterj Jones Show, there's the CashApp there. If you've learned anything, you thought you got anything out of this teaching today, whether I just reminded you of teaching or maybe you haven't heard anything, you can go ahead and give to our ministry. We do this every day, and we try and help the people of God get a better understanding of the word. All right. But if you are giving to Haiti, make sure you put that in the comments section in your Cash App. All right. In Zelle, put that in the comments section. Many of you Zelled me. And in PayPal, all these places you can put in the comment section. Where is that money going? I don't play with God's money. Don't do it. Y'all have successfully raised almost $4,000. Almost. And probably by the end of the week, it probably will be that for Haiti. So thank you so much. All right. Let's pray for the Webb family. Zolly Webb is gone. He is with the Lord right now. Zolly Webb just commented on here a few days ago when I don't remember what show I was doing, and he commented and said, "Don't be so hard on them, or don't be so mean," or something like that. He said that in jest. So for those of y'all who think he was being, no. Zolly Webb and I have had such a close relationship. I loved him. He and I have worked in ministry for some years now. He was a great man of God, a pastor in Evanston. And so let's pray for the family. I didn't even realize he was that sick. I was getting ready to reach out to him. And then yesterday I hear that he's gone. All right. So y'all take that lesson. Y'all, when y'all thinking about somebody, reach out to them as fast as you can. All right. Here, I think I have something here for him. I have a little video here. Thank you, BW. I see you. I see the rest of y'all who've given. And again, thank you. All right. I think I have him here. It's I may fast forward it because I'm getting ready to lose some power here. Thank y'all. If you're on YouTube, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and share. Hit the like button. There's about 100 of y'all left. Hit the like button, will you please? If you're on Facebook, please share this. And let's talk tomorrow. I know it's a holiday. Maybe I'll take the day off. I don't know. Okay. Blessing to y'all. We'll talk to you soon. Lord. I'm sorry, y'all. I got to cut it off. I'll play it tomorrow because, as you can see, the screen is shaking. We'll do a better honor for Zolly Webb tomorrow. Blessing to y'all. We'll talk to you soon.